This is Oath, Chronicles of Empire and Exile. Oath puts you in the midst of an endless struggle for supremacy over a distant mythical land. There is no beginning and there is no end, and the only thing that matters is your legacy. If you, as the Chancellor, are the Oathkeeper at the end of the game, then you might just be the winner. Unless, of course, a youthful successor rises up to take your place in the seat of power. Or the exiles rise up in rebellion to tear your kingdom down into the rubble of history so the cycle of power can start anew. The components in Oath are stunning, with an obvious highlight being this glorious full-colour printed neoprene playmat. With metal coins, chunky wooden bits and plenty of the typically cute yet somehow slightly sinister screen-printed wooden meeples that Leather Games is known for, Oath screams quality and expensive. Kyle Ferrin's artwork is full of whimsical fantasy with a dusting of menace, and it spills into every single element of this game. From the truly fantastic box art to the, wait for it, 200 plus unique cards with their own truly brilliant, individual, evocative card art. When laid out, despite the length of the playmat, the game itself is surprisingly well contained, and you don't need an enormous amount of space to play on, even if you're playing at the full 6-player count. If you're insane enough to want to do that. Each player takes a different role in this game, which is often determined by how the prior games played out. You're either the Chancellor, or you're a citizen in the Chancellor's empire, or you're in exile. You're going to spend supply to take actions on your turn, which will end when you either run out of supply or you've decided you've had enough and you just want to go to bed. You can spend supply on moving through the game world or searching the world for new cards and abilities. For anything else though, you're going to need to do someone a cheeky favour or two. You'll probably spend a lot of time trading with the denizens of this world, either telling them a secret to get some favours or doing them some favours to get a secret, all in the quest for more power and influence in the world of Oath, rather like your average day in the House of Commons these days. Something political commentary. You can then spend these resources to use the cards on the game board or the cards in your personal advisors in a whole heap of creative, interesting and possibly game-breaking ways. You can also spend resources mustering troops to defend your stuff, or to recover the symbolic banners or strange and powerful relics hidden through the world. The aggressive way of using your supply is campaigning, which is Oath speak for fighting someone to take their stuff. You can use that to steal relics or banners from your opponents, or take control of different lands, or simply boot some smelly vagrant out of your home for being in exile. The process of how you campaign and what things you can use in order to do it is rather rough to get the hang of, or at least you need to be smarter than me to really grasp it properly and quickly. Okay, that's on me, I did set the bar rather low. At the beginning of this review, I told you that you need to be the Oathkeeper to win the game. Well, sometimes that's important, and sometimes it's just not. It's complicated. You see, the game will start with an oath, which might be have the most control over the lands of the game. This matters if you're the Chancellor, but if you're a citizen, then you're aiming for the alternative win condition on the oath, which might be having the people's favour. And if you're in exile, you might want to fight with the Chancellor for the oath's win condition, which would make you the usurper. Or one of you might draw a vision and win by doing something completely different. It's complicated. Oath attempts to make a statement on the fluctuations of power between those with it and those without it. It's a game that, much like its predecessor Root, is brilliant at creating emergent stories without a shred of flavour text. It does so purely through the power of its mechanisms and its production, and it does so very effectively. It's a game where the story of the game and the players are arguably more important than the game itself. And as a design, it is definitely avant-garde. I haven't even touched on the fact that Oath has what Leather Games calls a Chronicle system, which is the way that the game remembers the last games played and molds it accordingly. Win by imposing an authoritarian dictatorship? Well, guess what? The next game will reflect that by throwing in a few more cards that will skew the game towards that style of play. It's an innovative system, and it's one that messes with your perceptions of what board games are meant to be. You see, to best enjoy this game, you should probably forget about notions of winning and losing. If everyone at the table is too invested in winning, then you'll probably spend several frustrating turns as the win condition bounces from player to player until someone either gives up or just runs out of resources. So you need to think bigger than that. What does the future hold for you? What does the future hold for the kingdom? And what can you do to influence that? Even if it means sacrificing your win just to make sure you destroy a specific land on the board, or you potentially get rid of some of the denizens that are causing you trouble, who will go out of the game, possibly forever. As I'm sure you can gather, this is a complex, weighty game that, although it doesn't have a lot of moving parts, has some frankly abstruse mechanisms alongside some wild interactions between the resources, cards and combat that makes for a very steep learning curve. This game necessitates and even obligates multiple playthroughs to really grasp what it's trying to teach you. It doesn't have an ending like other campaign or legacy style games, and you can freely dip in and dip out. You don't have to have the same players play together, although it definitely benefits from the same play group doing multiple playthroughs. I'd say after about 3 games, it all starts to make sense. We love how each game can feel connected to the prior games played, yet at the same time also feel like completely individual experiences. The ebb and flow between the powerful and powerless is really something to behold, and the way that this game's production and mechanisms evoke such natural emergent storytelling is this game's crowning achievement. Oath apparently plays 1 to 6 players, although frankly I can't see the appeal of either end of the extremes of that particular spectrum. The downtime between turns can be laborious, and at 6 players, you could probably rewrite the entirety of Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time in Hebrew before taking your next turn. We played it at 3 and 4, and at that player count it feels just about right. Oath is for people who like digging into one game for an extended period of time, and this is where Oath really shines over multiple playthroughs with the same group of people. It's for those who like really innovative game design, and for those who want to break it apart to see what secrets it holds. Oath has an MSRP of £119, which is eye-wateringly expensive. Of course, once you open the box, it's clear where all the money has gone, as the production is as deluxe can be. Whether Oath provides value to you depends on a couple of things. Can you spare the time to play it regularly to really get the most out of it? And can you adjust your expectations from winning and losing to doing what's best for the kingdom? Or at least, what's best for the kingdom according to you? If you can do that, then who knows? Maybe it will be your name next etched in Oath's Chronicles of Empire and Exile.